Hello everyone. I have a story to share with you today, and Uno is going to help me, right Uno? Gonna help? He's being very helpful. So this story that I picked for today is from this book called Miriam, Mary, and Me. It's Women in the Bible, and it's written by a pastor named Lois Miriam Wilson. And I like this book because she tells stories of a lot of the women and girls who are in the Bible, but they only get like one or two sentences in the Bible. And she tells the stories, she imagines more about them. And I really like it because it helps me to imagine myself being right there in the story. And the one I want to read to you today is called A Party to Remember. And it's based on a story from Mark's Gospel, chapter 14, of a dinner party that someone hosts for Jesus and his disciples. And there's a woman who comes into that party and does something very strange. And we don't even know her name in the story. It's something that happens during Holy Week, during the time in between Palm Sunday, when Jesus rides the donkey into Jerusalem, and then Maundy Thursday, when Jesus gathers for the Last Supper, the Passover meal with his disciples. This is one of the things that happens in the days in between. So that's why I wanted us to do that story today. So here we go, A Party to Remember. We had a big dinner party at our house last night. The dirty dishes were piled high in the kitchen afterwards. My father, Simon, had invited some friends to the party. Jesus had brought Lazarus back to life, and we all wanted to celebrate. The disciples, James and Judas, came. All the important men of our town came too. And of course, Jesus was there. Jesus was feeling sad because some people were angry with him and wanted to hurt him. We hoped the party would cheer him up. The tables held great trays of food and jugs of refreshing drink. Fish, olives, bread, cheese, it all smelled so good. Suddenly, my father, Simon, put down his spoon with a clatter. "What's that wonderful smell?" he asked, sniffing the air. "It's not food," said James, one of Jesus's friends. "It smells more like perfume." It was perfume, all right. I had noticed a woman come in the back. She entered the room quietly. She carried a small bottle in her hand. With the other hand, she put her finger across her lips. "Shh," she signaled to me. She opened the bottle and poured some of that perfumed oil into her hand and touched it to Jesus's head. Then she poured the rest of the oil on his head until the bottle was empty. Jesus didn't say a word while all this was going on. Then Jesus turned to James. "You're right, James. It is perfume. See, this woman has given me a gift." And Jesus gestured to the woman who was crouched down behind him, holding that empty bottle. "What is this woman doing crashing our party?" sputtered James. "She touched Jesus. How dare she?" "Anointing the head with perfumed oil is only for kings," complained another dinner guest. The woman hung her head and looked at the floor. She didn't say a word. I could tell by her face that she wanted to cry. "Why was the perfumed oil wasted in this way?" raged a rich man. "It cost a lot of money. It shouldn't have been wasted." "You're right," said Judas. "It could have been sold for a lot of money and that money given to the poor." I felt sorry for the woman. She had only meant to honor Jesus. Then Jesus smiled at her. "Let her alone. Why do you make trouble for her?" he asked his friends. The woman stood up, and her whole face changed. A smile was shining from her face. "She has done a beautiful thing for me," Jesus said. "You can always help the poor. They will still be here tomorrow because you do not keep the commandments and you do not share with them as you should." Lazarus was quiet. I could almost hear James's stomach growl as it churned with anger. His face was so red it looked like it could burst. My dad, Simon, was staring down at his sandals. "I won't be with you much longer," Jesus said. "This woman knows that. She has done something special for me right now." Her face glowed with joy. I wanted to jump and yell and shout. "Truly," said Jesus, "this woman, whose name you don't even know, has understood me. What she has done will be told everywhere in the whole world in memory of her." The woman looked at Jesus. Her eyes seemed to say, "Thank you." Then she picked up that empty bottle and proudly left the room. And that's the story. We don't even know the woman's name, but we do know that Jesus appreciated what she did. Anointing someone's head with oil back then was a sign of reverence, a sign of honor for a king, for someone important. And so this woman knew how important Jesus was. She knew that he was a king, even though he wasn't the normal kind of king, the usual king who lives in a fancy palace and tells other people what to do and has big armies and lots of riches. Jesus was the king of God's realm. Jesus was the Prince of Peace. And this woman knew that even though all the other folks didn't. So that's why I like this story, because it reminds us how special Jesus was in his totally unique way. And it was unlike anything the world had ever seen and unlike anything the world will ever see again. So thank you for listening to the story, and I will see you tomorrow morning for church.